If supplements actually work the way that these labels claim, then we would all be shredded and jacked and full of energy 24/7. But unfortunately, most of them out there are garbage. Today, we're going to cut through the BS, figure out exactly what works, and I'm going to share what my top 6 supplements are that are actually worth your money so that you can stop getting scammed by the supplement industry. I'm Bridger Deaton, fitness coach, entrepreneur, and host of the Lean and Lethal podcast. Today, we're going to cover 6 essential supplements, explain why they're non-negotiable for optimal health and performance, what are the benefits of each one, where should you be getting it, and is it worth supplementing with, or should we get it from our diet and whole food? So we're going to jump right through it. We're going to go one by one, each supplement, and then we will wrap it up. I'll give you a few closing thoughts and some recommendations on where to buy the highest quality supplements. So first off, number 1 is vitamin D3 plus K2. Odds are you've heard of vitamin D. You've probably supplemented with it in the past. Most people know that we can get vitamin D through the sun. However, the large majority of guys are not out in the sun long enough, exposing enough of their skin to get sufficient vitamin D that way. So low vitamin D, there's a few things that will come from being deficient in vitamin D. The first is you might be more fatigued, have a little bit lower energy throughout the day. You might frequently get sick due to a weakened immune system. You might have bone pains, muscle weaknesses, mood swings. Even things like depression can be a symptom of low vitamin D, as well as low testosterone and overall poor recovery. So these are some very, very crucial things. And you'll notice as we go through this list of supplements, a lot of the vitamins and minerals, they're things that while most people should all be supplementing with them, some people will see drastic changes and improvements in their life when they start. Some people won't see as big. That simply just comes down to how deficient was the person before they started supplementing with it. If somebody is severely deficient and they start taking a proper amount of vitamin D or some of these other vitamins and minerals, they are going to have almost life-changing results with it. Now, somebody that might be a little bit low but is not super deficient may not even have any very noticeable kind of outward effects. But either way, vitamin D plus K2. Now, we want K2 in there because K2 is going to help with the absorption of that vitamin D and also help prevent any sort of artery calcification. So you can buy vitamin D3 plus K2 together as one supplement. They often, you'll see them kind of bottled together. You don't need to get two things. We're looking for about 4,000 to 5,000 IUs of vitamin D3 and about 1 to 200 micrograms of K2 daily. So you should be able to find that in your bottle. And once we start taking the supplement, some things you may notice are improved mood. If you were somebody who kind of dealt with depressive symptoms in the past, that may start to lessen. Similar to when people get out in the sun more, they're usually better moods, more happy, because they are out in the sun getting that vitamin D and that good serotonin. Stronger bones and teeth, enhanced immune system, and reduced inflammation, as well as better calcium absorption and utilization, which is going to lead to the stronger bones and teeth with that. Some good food sources now, because almost all of these we can for sure get through our diet, but most of us aren't getting enough through the diet, hence the need to supplement with. But the top food sources for vitamin D, you're going to include things like fatty fish, so salmon, mackerel. That could be things like egg yolks. Now, as far as eggs go, all of the nutrients, like things like vitamins, minerals, vitamin D, as we're talking about here, are going to be found specifically in the egg yolk. That's also where all the fat is in the egg. So the egg white is pretty much just all protein. The egg yolk is fat along with a whole bunch of beneficial vitamins and minerals. You often hear eggs referred to as kind of nature's multivitamin because of the large amount of vitamins and minerals found in the yolk. Now, K2 is primarily going to be found in things like fermented foods, cheese, and also, once again, egg yolks. However, one egg yolk is only going to give you about 40 IUs of vitamin D, and we want upwards of 3 to 5,000. So just having a couple eggs a day is not going to give you enough vitamin D. Moving on, our next one is creatine monohydrate. Creatine is one of the most researched sports supplements out there, mainly for increases in strength and power and muscle mass. However, recently there's been a lot more research done on the cognitive benefits of creatine. Creatine is found in foods such as beef. Now, in like 6 ounces of beef or any sort of red meat, you're going to get about 2 to 3 grams of creatine. And we want above 5 grams. So supplementing with it, you're going to be able to get a lot more in, and you're going to be able to be a lot more consistent with it, because sometimes we're not all eating 6 to 12 ounces of beef every single day. So some things that you may notice once you start supplementing with creatine is a little more strength and power during your workouts, faster muscle recovery, a little bit reduced soreness, improved cognitive function and memory, and a little bit of enhanced muscle growth and endurance. Now, obviously, you're not going to balloon up and get quote unquote jacked like you would by taking anabolic steroids, because it's definitely not that. But these are, compared to control groups and baseline groups that are not taking creatine, and all of the research that has been done, these are all noticeable outcomes or effects that have been attributed to creatine. And you often hear people complain that, oh, well, I don't want to look puffy or bloated when I take creatine. So let's dive in a little bit how creatine actually works. So what creatine does is it increases our ATP production, which is adenosine triphosphate, and that's our body's primary source of energy when it comes to any sort of high intensity activity, like doing a back squat or a sprint, for instance. So creatine will help regenerate ATP faster, which will allow you to lift heavier, train harder, run faster, produce more force in those short periods of time. It's also going to enhance muscle hydration and cell volume. Now, this is where people often say, oh, well, I don't want all the water retention because I'm trying to get lean and I don't want to look puffy. Creatine pulls water into the muscle cells, so intramuscular and intracellular, not subcutaneous. Subcutaneous is under the skin. That's where you get kind of the soft, puffy look, is when you have excess subcutaneous water, which is not a result of creatine itself. And then studies have also shown that creatine users actually gain about 5 to 15% more strength and build muscle faster compared to non-users, like I recently here quoted. Now, when it comes to the water weight and looking puffy, like I said, it's not creatine that makes you look puffy, because it doesn't lead to subcutaneous water retention. It pulls the water into your muscle cells, which will actually make them look fuller and make you look a little bit more muscular. But the water retention that is making you look puffy or bloated is likely due to your diet and your nutrition, not the creatine. So many people take supplements or even start things like the keto diets, and they see some sort of change and instantly attribute that to the supplement, when that actual effect is coming from somewhere else in their diet that they're not paying attention to. And that goes to show you, with all these supplements and with just health and fitness in general, diet is the number one contributing factor to almost everything. It's 70% of the game. Then I would say sleep is second, and then training, and then way down the road, we have supplementation. So poor hydration, poor electrolyte balance, those are two things that can lead to a little bit of excess bloating or puffiness. A crappy diet that is high in processed foods, which often comes along with excess sodium intake. And sodium isn't bad, but if you're already eating a lot of prepackaged, pre-processed foods, sodium intake is going to be high compared to somebody that is cooking most of their own meals, eating whole foods primarily, where they can benefit from actually adding sodium to their diet. Also, doing a loading phase, however, isn't necessary. You can simply just skip the loading phase, go to taking 5 grams daily, and you'll get the full benefits over time, because what we want to do is saturate our body with creatine. It's not something you take once and then you see all the benefits from it instantly, like caffeine, for instance. It's something you got to take every single day, even on days you're not training. Saturate your body with it in order to get the beneficial effects. Sometimes when people start taking creatine, they do a big loading phase, 20 grams a day, and they notice a huge fluctuation in that water weight. The scale might go up. They're like, shit, I'm gaining a bunch of fat. That's simply just water weight being pushed into your muscles, which is highly beneficial for performance. But you don't need that loading phase. You can skip that and go straight to 3 to 5 grams daily. Next one on the list is fish oil or omega-3s. So your fish oil or your omega-3s is going to reduce inflammation. It's going to support your heart health, support brain health and brain function, and also enhance joint health and recovery. Now, I would say the biggest thing that I notice is for sure the inflammation and kind of knee pain usually tends to subside a little bit when I'm taking fish oil versus when I'm not. Also, you get a little better skin and hair health. Seems like it almost hydrates your skin a little bit better. It's a little less dry. So if you have excessively dry skin, you can most likely benefit from supplementing with additional fish oil. Now, salmon, all your fatty fish, mackerel, sardines are going to contain the most amount of fish oil. 6 ounces of salmon, however, contains about 3 to 5 grams of total omega-3s. So that's EPA and DHA combined. Now, if you're eating salmon every single day, you might not need to supplement, or you might not get any excess benefit. But most of us, I would say, aren't eating salmon on a daily basis. I know I'm not. It's probably a once every couple weeks thing, if that. So supplementing with fish oil makes it super easy to make sure you are getting enough omega-3s in. Now, as far as the supplement itself, like I said, there's EPA and DHA in there. You want to make sure that you are getting enough of each of one of those. So a lot of fish oil supplements, you pick them up, you read the nutrition facts, it'll say proprietary blend of omega-3s. We don't want to go with any proprietary blends, because that is simply a way that supplement companies will cheap out and underdose their products, or put more of the less expensive ingredient in there, whatever it is, whether it's protein, pre-workouts, fish oil, anything. Avoid any sort of proprietary blend. Next, we want to look at the amount. A lot of the research done has been at very high doses of fish oil or omega-3s, upwards of 6 grams per day, which most of the supplements out there you buy at the grocery store are around half a gram or 500 milligrams total in there, which is way low. So I would shoot for at least 2 grams or 2,000 milligrams of total fish oil or omega-3s per day. If you want to go upwards of 6 grams, there has been some studies showing increased recovery for participants in the study that were consuming 6+ grams total of omega-3s per day, compared to 4, 2, and 0. So if it's, I would say, within the budget and you want to kind of maximize everything, get those last maybe 0.5% bonus out of there, 6 grams a day. Otherwise, for the majority of population, you're going to get all the health benefits from simply getting 2 grams of omega-3s per day. And my particular one that I have right now, there's 2 that I usually like. Costco has a sports research one, and I just double the serving. Like, a serving size is 1 capsule, but I take 2. That gets me above the 2,000 milligrams. Or the Carlson's I believe it's like the Super 2000 fish oil is also another great option. Moving on to number 4, we have magnesium. So magnesium it plays a lot of roles in the body for sure. I think there's over 300 different processes in the body that magnesium is involved in, but some of the main ones is it supports muscle function, sleep quality, stress management, energy production, bone health, some noticeable things. Now, it also depends on the type of magnesium that you're taking, but some noticeable effects once you start supplementing with magnesium could be better sleep, a little more relaxation at the end of the night, reduced muscle cramps or muscle spasms, increased energy production, improved stress management and mood. Now, if you're somebody that constantly has very poor sleep, you're constantly fatigued, you have high levels of irritability or anxiety, all reasons that you may be possibly deficient in magnesium. And then when it comes to our food sources, the main sources of magnesium in your diet are going to be leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and dark chocolate. Now, don't only say dark chocolate in terms of anything health-wise. It is not referring to a dark chocolate Reese's peanut butter cup or some Hershey's Kisses that are dark chocolate or Dove. Those Valentine's Day, I know that was last week, the Valentine's Day dark chocolates, those are all loaded in a ton of sugar. A lot of the benefit is going to come from dark chocolate that is 90% or higher. That's where you're going to get most of the flavanols that come from the cacao and higher levels of magnesium. So for most of you, don't use this as an excuse to go eat an entire bag of sweet dark chocolate. That is not how this works. Now, when it comes to supplementation, most of our diets are deficient. I don't think most of us guys are eating a ton of leafy greens and seeds and nuts. And two, it's like when we're trying to get shredded, we don't want to be eating a ton of seeds and nuts too, because those are very calorie dense foods. A little handful of nuts is easily 200 calories right there. Not very satiating. And two, a lot of the soil nowadays is depleted of magnesium. So majority of us are going to be deficient in magnesium, especially if we aren't supplementing with it. Now, there are multiple different types of magnesium, about 7 to be exact, and each one plays a slightly different role. So which one should you be getting at the grocery store? We'll start off, we'll go through the list of the 7. So the first one, which is going to be the best for sleep and recovery, and the most bioavailable form, is going to be magnesium glycinate. So this is going to support more of that relaxation and sleep. It binds to the GABA receptors, and it's also going to help with, by way of improving sleep, muscle recovery, and your testosterone levels, which is very important for all of us guys. For that one, we want to be about 200 to 400 milligrams per day in the evening before we go to bed. The next one, magnesium L-threonate, is more so for brain function and focus. It's the only form of magnesium that has been proven to actually cross that blood-brain barrier, and it can help improve memory, cognition, or cognitive function, and your brain plasticity. This is shown in some studies in the Neuron Journal of Medicine. For this one, we're looking at about 1 to 2 grams daily, but you can split it into 2 separate doses throughout the day. So magnesium glycinate, more for sleep, just want to take that one in the bed. Magnesium threonate, we can take this multiple times throughout the day. The next one, magnesium malate. This is going to be best for energy performance, and it is bound to malic acid, which also helps with ATP production, similar to creatine in a sense, but obviously completely different pathways, just indirectly lead to increased ATP production. It's going to be a little bit less sedating than glycinate, so better for that daytime use with more energy production and muscle recovery benefits coming from it And you can do about 200 to 500 milligrams in the morning for this guy. Next one we will talk about is probably the one you see most common in stores and is also the cheapest form of magnesium. It's probably why you see it most commonly in stores. And this is the one, if you ever taken just a store-bought magnesium and had some digestive changes or issues, maybe because you're going with magnesium citrate. So it has decent absorption, but it draws a lot more water into the intestines. So it's similar and kind of acts as a laxative when you take it in higher doses. So it's super good for digestion and the occasional constipation relief. It's the cheaper option, like I said, and it's not ideal for improving sleep or any of the other benefits that we can get from other forms of magnesium. And then we got magnesium oxide, very, very crap absorption rate, like less than 4% bioavailability. So don't go with this one either. So as kind of a summary, I didn't talk about all of them here, but magnesium threonate as far as improving overall brain function and focus, magnesium glycinate for improving stress and sleep, and magnesium citrate is best for digestion, but the cheapest form. It's not going to give you those main benefits we want with sleep and cognitive function. So I would say stick with glycinate before bed and threonate throughout the day. The rest of the magnesium, don't need to worry too much about. Number 5 is zinc. Zinc supports immune function, your testosterone production, as well as wound healing. So it's essential for protein synthesis as well as cell division. And you'll notice too, it says wound healing here, and it can actually help with skin issues, acne, rashes. So if you're somebody that has very slow, quote unquote, wound healing, or it takes time to kind of recover for any sort of acne or rashes, you may be deficient in zinc, along with very low libido or testosterone levels. That can be a sign of zinc deficiency, as well as loss of appetite and frequent colds or infections. Now, the main food sources for zinc are going to be shellfish, meat, legumes, seeds. About 6 ounces of beef contains roughly 7 milligrams or so of zinc, and we want to get about 30 to 50 milligrams per day of zinc. Typically, athletes and those who are under a lot more stress too have a higher and increased need for more zinc in terms of daily dose, as those people that are under more stress, and whether that is physically like an athlete or mentally somebody who is maybe running multiple businesses and very stressed, they typically become deficient a lot quicker as their body uses up a lot more of that zinc. So if you fall into those two categories, you might be upwards of that 50 milligrams a day, versus if that doesn't sound like you, 30 milligrams a day will be plenty. Last but not least, the most common kind of the most common kind of plain Jane supplement out there is whey isolate protein powder. I had to throw this one on the list because I would 100%, actually, I'd probably put whey protein just in like a normal food category as far as nutrition, just because, I mean, this can be part of your daily diet, not necessarily a supplement, but it is filling in the gaps for those who have trouble eating enough protein on a daily basis, whether that is you're full, your access to food, or you're super busy on the go and you need a quick, convenient protein option that is a complete protein nonetheless. So we want to shoot about 1 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight for protein. So for somebody that is 200, 210 pounds, you want to be eating 200 to 220 grams of protein roughly. And that can be a lot for some people. So being able to get a good 50 grams of that through a protein shake, which is also going to digest a little bit quicker. So it's super good post-workout to kind of jumpstart that recovery process. Super efficient, very, very versatile too. Mix it in with Greek yogurt, put it in a smoothie, bake with it, just mix it with water. If you're on the go, you can travel with it. So super, super convenient option. Now, whey isolates are going to be the highest quality form of a whey protein. You'll also see whey concentrate in some more of the cheaper protein powders. Whey concentrate is definitely going to be a little rougher on your digestive system. So if you're somebody who's super gassy or kind of constipated and has digestive issues with a protein powder, look at the label and the ingredients. Make sure it's whey protein isolate and not a whey concentrate, which is a cheaper form. Both are going to be complete proteins, but the whey isolate has most of the lactose and fat filtered out and is going to digest a lot easier. Now, obviously, as far as other food sources, all the animal sources of protein are going to be sufficient and cover the base. But if you're somebody that has trouble getting to that 200, 220 grams of protein per day, or you need a convenient option, whey protein is for sure a staple that you should have in your cupboard or in your kitchen or at your office for sure. Now, I would go with a whey versus a plant because plant proteins, I don't know that there is any of them that are complete sources of protein. And a complete source of protein means it contains all 9 essential amino acids. Now, you can use multiple different forms of plant proteins in order to make it a complete protein, but just go with an animal protein. Whey is an animal-based protein, and if you get an isolate, it's going to be easy on your stomach, not going to cause any issues, going to help you build muscle, recover from workouts, retain that muscle into a deficit, and also keep you a little more satiated throughout the day. Now, if you're somebody who is deep into a deficit and you're constantly hungry, I'd suggest just eating whole foods to get your protein in versus a shake. That's going to fill you up a lot more than a shake. 6 ounces of chicken is going to be a lot more satiating than a scoop of protein in 16 ounces of water. But nonetheless, super good tool to have. Mix your creatine in with it and make that your post-workout shake. So that is all 6 for today that we are going to talk about. If you're already taking a supplement stack or you got some vitamins and you're not sure if they're worth taking, or if you have the right doses or good quality brands, go ahead, send me a DM on Instagram. You can take a picture of your supplement stack. I'll give you some feedback, maybe some better sources or some recommendations on what might be a complete waste of money, what you should add in. This is just my essential kind of basic list of 6. Later on, we'll go into some more kind of ergogenic aids, some that are going to increase performance or even testosterone, where there's not a whole lot of research on some of these other ones, but there's a lot more coming out, and there's a lot of interesting other supplements to talk about. Things like methylene blue, ashwagandha, coenzyme Q10, so Tongkat Ali, so many out there. So we'll do deeper dives on some of these other ones, break down some research, or even see if there's any research on some of these other ones to see if they are worth your money or not. But just as a kind of wrap up, fat burners and 99.9% of testosterone boosters are going to have zero impact on your progress. So save your money there. If you're severely have very, very low testosterone, I would first suggest getting your sleep in check. That's going to be the biggest thing. We already did an episode on sleep. That's going to have way more impact than any sort of supplement will on your testosterone. And then go get blood work done. See where it's actually at. And if it is severely low, and I would say you're over the age of 30, 35, maybe talk to your doctor about TRT. But wasting money on any sort of over-the-counter testosterone booster, while we all want it to be true that it's that easy, you can go to a supplement store and take a pill and boost your testosterone. That's just not the case. Like I said, if these fat burners and testosterone boosters over the counter worked, all of us would be jacked and shredded year round, because that'd be way too easy. But unfortunately, that's not how it works. If you're not taking any supplements right now and you want to get a stack that's lined out for you and your diet and your goals, fills in those gaps, shoot me Instagram too on DM. I'll send you a complete list of the best sources and brands to kind of get you started on there. None of them are affiliate links. I've just done a lot of research, spent a lot of time in grocery stores, on Amazon, wherever, trying to find the best, most reputable brands. A few things that you can look for on supplement kind of labels are either Informed Sports certified or NSF certified. Those are two third-party testing agencies that supplement manufacturers can go through. Otherwise, make sure that the amount of the ingredient is listed on there. Do your research on what the dosages should be. Don't go for any proprietary blends, fancy marketing, things like that, where they're stacking a bunch of different things together. I wouldn't go with that. That's just a way to jack up the price, where a lot of the stuff in there is going to be underdosed. They just put a little bit in there so they can put it on the label and sell it for more. So go with single ingredient things. Besides the D3 plus K2, get that together. I'd get everything else as a single ingredient supplement. And then last thing we gotta recap on, or gotta retouch on, focus on the right priorities. Diet is first. That is the foundation. That is 80% of any sort of progress or changes you're gonna make. After that, sleep, which doesn't require any sort of money. It does require a little extra time for some of you, but a lot of that time can simply be taken out of you scrolling through TikTok or Instagram or watching Netflix. All of those videos, episodes, shows are going to be there tomorrow. You can watch them the next day. Prioritize your sleep. If you haven't gone through and watched or listened to the sleep episode, do that. Take some notes. Implement that stuff in your life. You're going to see incremental changes doing that versus any sort of supplement you can take. And then training, and then even further down the road is going to be supplements at the very top of the pyramid. That point, that last 1 to 2% is going to be supplements. So don't get too caught up on these, but these are 6 essentials that you can take in order to improve your overall health and vitality. So thanks for listening to another episode of the Lean and Lethal podcast. If you found this episode helpful, do me a favor, hit subscribe, leave a review, share this with a friend who is either not taking any essential supplements or they're taking a whole bunch of BS supplements. Send this to them, help them out. And until next time, stay lean, stay lethal, and keep chasing discomfort.